closest to center.
I think Brad Wood said he was like.
Don't count.
He's been on it the longest, right?
Yeah, right, longest never. Okay, that's fine. So I guess it's the motion to approve the agenda. Does it have to be a board member to make the motion? You can't really
Yes.
vote. it.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. You take a second.
Second.
All those in favor? The agenda's approved.
Who was the second? Great. All right, we don't have any minutes to approve since this is the first time we've
Back.
met in over a year,
Back to
so.
business.
Welcome back. It's great to see all of you. We can go ahead and get some introductions. Victoria Hoffman, Solid Waste and Recycling Program Manager for Beaufort County.
Hi, I'm Claudia Wigan, I'm the recycling coordinator.
Brianna Klinkenberg, Solid Waste and Recycling Business Manager.
Sally LaBelle, Senior Administrative Assistant. Pamela Cobb, Assistant Director for Public Works. I'm Valentina Palacio, I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator.
Bradley Harry, Beaufort County Public Works Director.
Jesus Rodriguez, Litter Control Supervisor and AAH Coordinator. Dr. Hyder.
Mike Bennett, District 3, Old
Mark Feinberg, representing District 9.
Brian Durrett, City of Beaufort Public Works, Operations Manager, representing District 1.
Sally Dennis, District 7.
Brad Woods, Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island Liaison.
Thank you very much. Any public comment? Looks like that's a no.
You're doing really good as chair, too. I said you're doing really good as chair also.
Thanks, no pressure. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and get into the solid waste and recycling report. Lots of updates since we haven't met, so I will try to keep it brief. One update that we're really excited to announce is that we have changed our recycling contract vendor. I'm very excited and proud to say that we have selected I2 Recycle as our vendor for recycling, so they have been overseeing that contract since October of this year, and it's going really well. If you haven't seen our bright orange bins rolling down the road, that is the recycling for Beaufort County. So give Rerun a little wave when you see that. We also purchased those new roll-off containers with the ARPA funds that we received. ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan Act. So those were funds that we received from the federal government and used those to purchase those orange bins and have them wrapped with the Rerun. And now we're using that with our recycling contract. We also have purchased new compactor center units for some of our centers. Those also were procured in FY25. A few rolled over to FY26. No, 24 and 25. Apologies. We used ARPA funds for those. In FY26, we were going to procure 7 more, the units that we need for Shanklin and St. Helena. Do I have to repeat all that? I'm not going to. So in FY26, we've requested $413,206 to purchase 7 additional compactor units. That was a big to-do on our list with the centers. Those compactor units are over 15 years old. We were spending a lot of time and energy and funds in repairing these compactors. So the new ones are working well. They're increasing the operations that were at the centers. So, and those compactors are for both MSW and cardboard. Alrighty. If you have not seen, we received USDA federal grant funds, $273,600. Those funds are going towards creating a compost pilot program. A portion of the funds are going towards education and outreach and getting residents aware of what they can compost in regards to food waste diversion. And then another portion is creating a compost mascot character to accompany Rerun and all of our endeavors. And then we'll be outfitting the centers to receive that food waste and then hiring a vendor to transport the food waste.
Question.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
only going to be in one particular location, or are you going to expand that to various locations?
At the beginning of the, sorry, I'm just jotting down the question. At the beginning of the pilot program, our goal is to first outfit 4 of our centers. So the 4 centers that we receive recycling at, we'll outfit those centers to receive the food waste. We'd like to mimic the Charleston County program that started in the city of Charleston and increase the drop-off locations and work with partners throughout Beaufort County, and then eventually get into schools, then also offer that to businesses as the pilot program grows.
And I get a lot of questions about this. So primarily, even when you move into the schools and the business, will you still be using the convenience centers for the drop location? Is that the starting point, or is there an alternate site?
No, once we move into schools and businesses, we will be using a vendor, Smart Recycling. They've already given us a letter of, what is the letter you give them with grants?
Letter of intent?
Not a letter of intent, but a partnership letter. So they're interested in expanding their locations to Beaufort County, and so they would go straight to the businesses and the schools and any residents who'd like to get into the program for pickup.
Businesses, you're talking about restaurants?
Yes, sir. Restaurants, resorts, anybody who would be interested in diverting food waste. And Smart Recycling would be in charge of contacting those businesses and the schools, because that's how they make their profit, is off of that hauling of the material. And then they also provide education and outreach resources as well.
Do you guys know what type of, is it all foods, or do you have an idea of the framework of the food, food you want to be composted, the collection?
We don't have a framework yet. It's a pilot program, so basically we're gonna start it, see what we get, and then pivot from there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a lot, that's a big, everybody's asking about it, the rumor's out a little bit, and so everybody's like, what's going on with
Yeah,
this?
what's going on?
with this?
Yeah, it's in the planning phase now, so part of the grant funds were issued towards our consultant. So we have our on-call solid waste and recycling consultant, HDR, and they're working with us in creating the pilot program.
Who's that again?
HDR, Omega, no, I skipped one. Homer, Delta, Romeo. I'm horrible.
like that.
I'm
We would've
horrible.
liked
I'm
that.
horrible at it. I always do animals, and then the animals get me off because then I
H is
start thinking about the
hotel.
animals. Hotel is H. Okay, great.
H is hotel.
It's not hippopotamus. Are you sure about that? 'Cause I don't know. Because I
hard
really
to say on the
wanted.
radio.
I really
the Marine
wanted
guys
to
will
say
tell you,
hippopotamus,
it's
and then I was just at
definitely hotel.
Universal, and I was thinking about Homer Simpson. See, this is why. So anyway, back on. Any more questions about that?
Is waste management on that conversation by chance? 'Cause
They
I mean,
have not been. I have thought about waste management as an option potentially to put an end vessel unit, because they do have that location where their MRF used to be.
Yeah.
So right now I haven't reached out to them yet. I will be reaching out to them because we do have the RFP coming, which I'll speak a bit more about. But they are an option. They're kind of a backup. There is a third party that's kind of in play. A company that's wanting to bring compost, and they've got some things moving behind the scenes. Don't want to really speak too much about their proprietary things going on, but it looks really promising, and hoping that I'll be able to go and partner with them once we issue RFPs for the receiving of food
I would
waste.
imagine that waste management might be excited to remove that food waste out of there for their
Mhm.
landfill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, very
That's great.
Worth
That's really
mentioning.
good.
Okay. So, a bit of a personnel update. As you already saw with our introductions, our new Public Works Director is Mr. Bradley Harriet. We're really excited to have him as our leader. He's been with Public Works as the Assistant Director, and has recently, about a month or so ago, moved into the Director role. And then Valentina, she's our environmental educator for short. She's already introduced herself. We've already been introduced to Mr. Jesus, who is our litter supervisor and our Adopt a Highway coordinator. And our business manager, Bree, to my left. You've already been introduced to her, and we're very excited Sally's our senior admin assistant, so moving forward, once she's in her role, she is very new. Don't spring her with any crazy questions, please. We would like for her to stay around. We like her a lot. But she will start overseeing this role and being your liaison for the board.
All right, welcome.
I believe that's all of our new positions currently in solid waste. We still have our beloved Brad McAbee as our solid waste superintendent. So that has not changed, despite the many positions that we've had changing recently. So as far as this board, we do have 3 as long as Mr. Brian signs his paperwork to extend. So he did expire while we were on our hiatus. So with 3, we can still hold meetings and vote. So if anybody has his contact information, let him know. We need him to sign this paperwork, and then once he does come back, we will need to hold a vote for our chairman and vice chair, or woman, lady. So that is kind of the behind the scenes on that and what we need to do to continue with the board and keep it growing. We are currently budgeting and planning for FY26. We have submitted our capital improvement projects and our equipment requests, and then we're continuing to work on the budget, and Bree is really working hard on that. And then we have established vision, mission, and goals for the department. If you guys want to take a look at that, I can email them out. But they're basically the same, and then we are still operating off of the solid waste and recycling program plan that was signed in 2021.
Excuse me, I may have missed it. Is there is that under head count activity? How many personnel you have by recycling center?
So we're actually,
Employees?
we're 1 employee for being fully staffed at
Hey.
recycling centers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have 1 open position, and that hasn't happened in quite a while.
So that's about, what, 48?
You know, it's 48, I think, total.
Mhm.
Okay.
And, you know, I call it field staff.
I apologize,
No worries.
being the newest
We can get you
member.
that, we can get you that kind of org chart on that. if
Okay,
you'd like to see
great,
that.
yeah,
Just-
please. Much background.
Yep.
And it's exciting to mention, we're requesting it, remember, budget requests are exactly that, a request, but we are looking into requesting additional personnel to outfit the centers. It was Valentina's great idea to include center attendants that are strictly at the recycling area, so we can talk to residents as they're recycling and help them sort properly and hopefully reduce our contamination. But it is a request. We can always request.
In the short term, going back to that being fully staffed, so in the short term, we're hoping that Brad McAfee in the field's gonna maybe do a little bit of shifting around, since we're kind of fully staffed, and hopefully we can maybe start with some of our already employed at the recycling areas. Valentina can get them educated, and hopefully we can maybe start that, and we'd like to start it kind of on a new cycle, so we can actually tell, you know, like, recycling, we can see if there's a
Yep.
difference in educating them at the facility versus not educating them at the facility, so we can see that difference at the.
That's
on the
good,
back
that's
end.
really good, yeah. That test bed that we did showed that there is an improvement just by talking to people, so now it'll be really good to actually test it, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and a lot of these improvements also are with talking with Mike, so that's why it's really great that we have a local vendor overseeing our recycling. We've already seen improvements, and we work with Mike to educate, and hopefully we'll reduce our contamination moving forward. All right, on to contracts and RFPs. So we currently have 2 open RFPs currently. We have our in-vessel composting unit, so a portion of that USDA grant is to purchase a composting unit. We have proposals are due for that on December 10th. And then our second RFP that we currently have open is digital content and creation, and that's to help us create that composting mascot character, and then educational information and pamphlets for composting. The proposals are currently being evaluated, and we have scheduled interviews with our top 4 proposers. And then we have some upcoming RFPs. So these contracts are ending in June. So we have them drafted. They're in our final phase, and they'll be published within the coming weeks. We have our MSW disposal contract. So that's disposing of our MSW at the landfill, or if somebody comes through with another way to dispose our waste. Like I said, it's drafted and just waiting to be published. We have our compactor maintenance and repairs. That's also drafted. We're hoping to post that in January. And then our e-waste collection events and recycling, that's also drafted, and we're planning to post that in February to kind of hopefully stagger them so we don't have all these proposals that we're having to read through all at one time, because it is very time consuming to do that.
And just to clarify, and I'm pretty sure I know this, the June MSW, that's the landfill.
Yes, sir. That is the landfill.
Wow. That's been 25 years in the making. Do you guys know the term?
Municipal
The new
solid
term?
waste.
So the new terms, no, we haven't posted it yet, so we don't know the new terms. We can request that they extend it. So the new procurement policies are trying to cap contracts at 3 years with 2 additional years for extension. We can propose to county council that we would like to do a longer contract, so we can propose a 10-year contract instead.
Because the current one's 25.
Yes, correct.
So you're actually looking to reduce.
Well, I don't know that they'll let me sign a 25-year contract.
right.
It'll be something that we discuss with county council.
Okay.
But that's what from procurement that we could potentially do 10 or 15-year contracts, so that it shouldn't throw out 25 years. But with their current landfill extension being 10 to 15 years.
Yep.
All right, I think I already kind of highlighted our USDA grant compost pilot program, but it is $273,600. HDR is creating the plan. Portion of the funds are to purchase a composting vessel, and that's either for county operations or if there's a third party that comes in and would like to assist in that plan. And then, of course, the education outreach for mascot materials and then educational video. Center improvement, so basically bins at the centers with locks to hopefully reduce contamination.
Yes, yeah,
Bye.
here's your 3 minutes.
And then the center pickup for the food waste. And we, as always, applied to, and Chloe is currently working on our South Carolina now DES grant. So in case you haven't heard, DHEC is now DES, Department of Environmental Services. So we did receive the FY25 grants. We're working towards using those funds. And then Palmetto Pride grant in 2024. And I believe Chloe and Valentina have an update for requesting Palmetto Pride calendar year 2025 grants. So now we can go through our Q1 totals. Apologies if it's really small. I can.
Victoria,
Yes, sir.
So backing up on one of those programs, contracts we have, the e-waste contract that we have with Powerhouse, is that correct?
Yes.
So we've started I don't know if y'all know, we started that pilot program where actually citizens can sign up to bring their e-waste to just 2 different locations. It's on Wednesdays. So we have that going. It's actually working. It's working really good. The spots fill up. Sometimes people show, and some, we'll tell them we'll have some people that no shows, but you're gonna have that. So it's actually working really good, and we're hoping. My goal would be by the time next year's over, that we don't have to have these e-waste events anymore.
You just hold it constant.
We'll just do it constant,
Mhm.
and then.
Who's the current e-waste? Is it?
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse.
Yeah. And that's
And they-
through.
And it costs us,
the
it
South-
costs us money to
Oh, yeah.
have them, like.
Yeah,
it's
yes.
Fairly
So,
expensive.
yeah, with the new clearinghouse event, it's basically a law that states that, similar to tires, whenever an electronic is purchased, a portion of those funds go to recycling the electronics. So the funds that we are spending towards Powerhouse is to host those electronic recycling events. So whenever the public comes through and brings their materials and then they haul it away, that's what's costing us. So that's why we have started that drop-off program, so we can eventually, so our goal and hope is after FY '26, we can, go do away with the events and the cost, cause that current, PO, I wanna say, is over $100,000 for Powerhouse.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
it's expensive.
Yeah, very costly, and it could cost us significantly less. So whenever we receive and package the materials ourselves, the only stipulation is we have to have a semi-truck load for them to come and pick it up, but they provide, because of the clearinghouse, and the new law, they provide the packing supplies and materials, and then free transportation of their materials
So you do
and
the
free
labor.
recycling
You
of
provide
the
the labor.
All we
e-waste.
do is provide a labor, load it, and they come hook it up.
There
Well,
will
you
be a
mentioned the
small
two-
cost because we do accept materials that aren't on the clearinghouse list.
Like TVs.
So, TVs are on that list, but other small, just miscellaneous electronics
like
that we still,
telephones.
yeah.
You know, keyboards, those types of things.
Yeah, it seems like a win-win, because I know as citizens, they wanna drop off anytime. You
Yeah.
know, I can't imagine that you don't get a great response.
Is that BC Connect? How do they make that appointment?
You go online to the solid waste and recycling webpage, and you can, select your calendar appointment.
Would it be helpful to go back to our, you know, our townships or whatnot, and talk to them and push that forward a little bit? Do you want that now, or is it set up to handle volume, or is it still really very pilot? Or
I would, we.
is there anything we can do?
It's in 5-minute increments from 8:30 to noon. I would say that they do usually fill up 2 weeks out,
Mhm.
about 2 weeks out. So, I mean, you can push it forward, but you could be getting into, like, January, February,
That's
which
right.
is like fine, like, we can have them scheduled, but they wouldn't be able to just show up like next week, most
Right.
likely, because Bluffton is a little slower than Beaufort. Beaufort is probably booked up
So
until the
you
end
are
of the year.
filling the slots, it's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I figured people would
Yeah,
love
no,
to.
it's, they're very.
Love to jump on that.
They're taking,
Mm-hmm.
they're taking well to it. And like I said, most people like it because they can get rid of it. You don't have to hold on to it for, either 6 months or whatever it is. You know, nobody wants two TVs sitting in their garage for 6 months.
So, better service, cost reduction,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Convenience, sounds like,
It requires a little bit more labor on our part, but we're hoping with,
Can you-
with the
can you
extra
offset?
staff
Yeah,
in the
can you-
budget,
Yeah.
and we, move some things around, and it's going good. I mean,
but even with the
first
extra
we were-
labor, will it fundamentally be cheaper?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Or
so you could offset
You
the
could have
cost.
we could have part-time employees do it.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, because they only, Wednesdays they come in from 8 to noon on Wednesday. Or
Is there,
half day.
so is there anything we can do to help push that?
I don't know.
Or, you know, anything we can help with?
We can roll it out more days a week. We'll let you know. I mean, we've been publishing it and posting it, social media. We've got our outreach, and then, when our, public notice email streams, we've got Lauren Finelli sending it out. But whenever we can issue more days, we definitely would like the extra publicity on it.
Okay, yeah, that's great, that's, yeah, I get that call all the time too, that's the one, you know, what do I do,
Yeah,
when, where, and
e-waste.
why for
Everybody
e-waste?
wants
We
to
don't
know.
do e-waste, so.
All right, so this is a Q1 overview. As you can see, we've got our center traffic information here. The asterisks do indicate that we had a tube counter down. So Lobico, it looks like it's a lot smaller than the other centers. But we are still seeing a decrease in center activity and traffic, even though we are experiencing a population increase.
But the total
Is that
traffic's
because of
up.
more curbside pickup?
That's what
Yeah, potentially. The only one I see discrepancy are the Shanklin and St. Helena sites. They have a bit more of an increase, but that could just be due to tube counter counts down in Q1 of FY24 too.
And I think for, like, going back to population, Shanklin, there's more population growing out this way, and there's more population on St. Helena now. I mean, the population's definitely growing. So,
And then, just a reminder, in FY21 was when the decop program was implemented. So we did have that major decrease when it was implemented.
Man, that was
to those months.
that was such a
and-
great deal.
and
And
we
we get
still
beat up
see-
for it, you know, and we all knew the numbers would come out, but
We
people
still
were
see a decrease.
losing their minds, and it really worked out really well. that was good.
Yeah, they're slightly increasing because of, population increase. Everybody wants to come live in Beaufort. But we do still have a significant decrease in, the use of the centers prior to the decal program. And here are some of our tonnage data. Apologies for the way that it's formatted. I'm working with IT on using Power BI. So this information will be on our webpage for full transparency of residents. And then also it'll look a bit more dolled up for you guys hopefully, I won't say next time, eventually. But as you can see, our tonnage from our convenience centers and then curbside is significantly increased from that. And then the same with our C&D waste and yard waste. Curbside has a bit less actually. And these figures do rely upon our residential haulers, but as of Q1, we did receive all of our data from them. And then here's the waste tonnage broken out by class of waste and then the districts.
Am I wrong in thinking the residential recycling tonnage, did the numbers get better? Were you able to collect better numbers since we met last?
Better it was Q1 combined 1 month of data from the old vendor and then data from I2. So I think maybe in Q2 you'll be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead on to recycling.
MSW versus CNT.
MSW is just trash, solid waste, municipal solid waste, and C&D is construction.
Apologies, if you want me to maximize any specific category, I can. But over here we have our hauling costs and we are comparing it to FY24. So a bit of an increase in July. This is when Waste Management had our contract, and then also remember in July it's heavy tourist season, so instead of like a bell curve with recycling and waste, it's more like a barbell curve with those higher rates at the holidays around this time of year, and then the higher rates at the in the summer months with our tourists. And then here we've got our disposal costs, and this is for solid waste. And then our pools, and then our
Excuse me, what is
tonnage
pools?
disposal.
You say, what is polls?
Pools is when a container is pulled. So we've got 20-yard containers and 40-yard containers at our convenience
So when
centers.
you pull one of those,
Every time
Orange
that
going to
container is,
a-
yes,
That's
correct.
okay.
So we pay,
Landfill.
exactly, we pay, every time it's pulled and hauled to the landfill, that's at the cost. And then every time a container goes over the scale at the landfill and is weighed, that's an additional cost. So we pay twice for material to be first transported to the landfill and then actually dumped at the landfill. And similar to, recycling. Pay for it to be hauled, and then pay for it to be dumped. Okay, getting into recycling. This is recycling activity separated out by district and tonnage. And then convenience center tonnage here, and then residential route. So this is curbside data tonnage here, and then convenience center tonnage here. So 450 tons collected from our convenience centers in Q1, and 1,200 tons collected curbside.
That's actually when I was looking at the wrong chart earlier when I made that
Yeah, I was
question about
wondering if you were
residential.
looking at
Yeah, sorry, I was
MSW.
actually referring to this as,
Mhm.
did that reporting get better since we last met, or was those, I
For our
thought those-
curbside?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for curbside.
as of Q1, I received all the data from residential curbside haulers.
Okay, so I'm not, I just don't remember it being.
Yeah, so this data is accurate as of now.
A question for you about the residential routes versus convenience centers. When I first moved here, I guess maybe, not 15, but maybe 10 years ago, somewhere in that time period, there was a movement to go the whole county to curbside. Is that a dead issue? Is that something we need that resurfaces every once in a while? Or is it from an economic standpoint, being the new person here, I'm just curious where that stands?
Yeah.
It could still be up for discussion. I'm not saying it's out. There's some areas that we would like to see curbside.
I think I'll give a little quick backdrop, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it came up as a discussion, and they really quite moved forward to single hauler across countywide, looking at actually 5 different districts and setting it up. The fundamental issue I think that this board had in front of them was the landfill and the way the recycling and the landfill were working and how things were getting paid for. And so at the time, it just didn't seem like it would make sense to set up a contract where recycling and that side was disincentivized. And so I think it kind of got squashed from that level. Plus, there's a lot more complexities by how you're going to pay for it, and a lot of other things that go to it. Is that what you guys remember?
Well, yeah, and also it would have put a lot of small businesses out of business. So, and it would cost a lot more, so raising taxes and putting people out of business wasn't really the best look, so.
Who would it affect from a business standpoint?
All the local. like,
We have
small
several smaller,
Yeah.
small haulers that
So
oversee.
Small haulers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we have several local haulers,
Okay.
primarily if maybe just in Beaufort County.
I thought you were talking about people that are small businesses that use the convenience centers, or maybe they're not supposed.
No, waste
They're not
haulers.
supposed to, but they do because they just don't have marked trucks.
No, waste haulers
I
that we
think-
have, that have
That was the-
decals for Beaufort County to
Gotcha.
dispose of residential
Gotcha.
waste.
I think Hilton Head had a great failure model.
Yeah,
to go by.
yeah, the town of Hilton Head did it. and-
Yeah, and a failure model. But the town of Hilton Head's really moving forward, revisiting this again.
Mhm.
That's-
That's what I heard. I heard they were going forward.
That's
and-
the area it would definitely benefit the county. It costs us, Victoria can probably get the numbers, but it is very, very expensive for the hauling that we do from the Hilton Head Convenience Center off of there. I mean, it's
It's right here.
a lot. If you look at that number,
Yeah.
it's pretty big.
But they're interested, learning from those mistakes. Part of that was the small business, because that was a perfect example of what happens when, that you go into big tour. And really trying to surgically figure out how to make that work.
And it would be nice to see Hilton Head, some type of a sustainability on Hilton Head, kind of a hub. Hilton Head could bring all the citizens and residents of Hilton Head could bring all their stuff to one point, and you could separate it, and then you haul it off in bulk versus hauling.
And they've been discussing a lot of options, looking at that convenience center. There's a lot of stuff going on
There's a lot
at
of
the town.
ideas out there on the table, it's just,
when I first came here, it was talked about the fact that we had these convenience centers that people could drop off white metal as opposed to putting it back in the forest on, late nights and dumping refrigerators.
we take all the white goods as well, we call it white goods.
Right, but in the past, rural areas tended to, that you don't see as much of today because there's convenience centers.
Yep, that's
Which-
right.
which
Well,
is-
it's definitely helped with litter. Oh,
Yeah.
100% it's helped with that type of litter. We still have it, but they help.
So there's a yin and yang there. If you had
Always.
to pay for it, maybe I'll just go on Sunday nights and dump it somewhere.
Yeah, single hauler I think has a place, but it's gotta be, there's several single hauler programs around here. Town of Bluffton has one, Port Royal has one. There are, they're itemized and they're small, but when you start looking at like rural landscapes
Mhm,
and
yeah.
and like she said, there's a lot of small haulers that serve a purpose in
Okay.
those
And those,
instances,
yeah,
and you
because we do have
can't,
so many rural areas.
yeah,
that's-
they're nimble.
That drives your price up, obviously, with density, that's
Yeah.
easier to do.
Thank you.
All right, and then this is our revenue, and then also just what it's costing us to recycle. So we also changed contractors for our metals. So we are now using Beaufort metal / Hardyville metal. So any bulky white goods materials that are received south of the Broad go straight to Hardyville, and then anything received north of the Broad goes to Beaufort metal. And then now we're receiving monthly reports and monthly revenue checks from them, as opposed to when we had with Charleston Steel, it was kind of like a quarterly thing. So we're really happy with that. Cleaning up our Shanklin white goods pad 2 to make that a bit more sightly. And then we also receive our revenues from Universal Environmental, which is our used oil. Sunoco, I do think that we just received a check, so it didn't quite make it into Q1 report, but we're no longer baling cardboard, so we really don't receive a large revenue check from them anymore. It's primarily books that we are collecting from our libraries. And then, of course, the DRR Tire Fund, that also was received late, so it didn't quite make it into Q1 report, but we did receive revenues from those two. And then with our waste management processing and hauling, those are combined here. And in the month of July, that was our last month with them. And then moving forward from August, this is our monthly processing costs. So actually to tip the materials and have them processed, and then to haul those materials from the convenience centers to the I-2 facility. And then skimming off our rebate amount, as you can see here with waste management, that was NA, not applicable. So here you can see now is our recycling costs net with our rebate included. And then this figure down here is our cost with the exception of the revenues that we receive. Price of doing business. Alrighty. And then we did have one item to vote on for today. It's fine if we don't vote. We can still stand with this meeting schedule for 2025. But this is the proposed meeting schedule following the same format, third Thursday of every other month. And I did take into consideration holidays, so hopefully we won't have any meetings that need to be rescheduled. I don't know that we can vote
Why?
without our third member here. So the three members are yourself and Miss Sally, and then our other members that you're sitting next to are liaisons and ex officios. So not technically voting members. But we can keep this on the table. I will move forward with that as long as you don't have any objections or edits, and just confirm with boards and commission to just reserve the room for these meetings. So it looks good for you? Wonderful. Okay, that is all for me. Next we have, and apologies I didn't come to the podium. I have to kind of drive the computer over here. But we now have our letter supervisor. Jesus, if you would like to take the stand, I do have your update here.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am the litter control supervisor and also the Adopt a Highway coordinator. I've been on board for a little over a month, started October 14th of this year, and here I am. So just sort of give you a briefing as to what I have going on. We have, while onboarding, I wanted to get an understanding basically of how the program was running to make sure that I'm doing my job, of course, and to have an understanding what the needs are for the Adopt a Highway program. So with that said, the first initiative that I took was conduct a survey, send it out to all the members, and I got a response. Not all of them responded, but I got a significant amount of replies. For the most part, everything was good. We got over 80% satisfactory rate on the program itself. The cons on it was lack of communication and safety precautions taken when people are out on the roads. That can pertain from lack of signage to heavy traffic, noise, unable to communicate to each other as they're out on the side of the road. So obviously, that's a safety issue going on. So with that said, I did reach out to the point of contact, the information officer for Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. I believe her name is Lindsay. And we're sort of working a plan to sort of communicate to our motorists via social media or through our email subscribers, hopefully get the word out, hey, we have people out here on the side of the road. In addition to that, we're also working with Chloe to get some signage out there in Spanish. A heavy population of Latinos in the community will be helpful. So with that said, moving over to the cleanup efforts, I do have some quick statistics from the AH program this year so far in comparison to last year. So far this year, we've collected 56,749 pounds of trash.
It's calendar year, correct?
Yes, for this year so far, for what I accumulated. In comparison to last year, and I'm not sure how accurate these numbers are because I did find a lot of duplicates from last year, so I kind of mimicked with the numbers, and the significant difference is 95%, over 95%, as opposed to last year of during this time. So it's a significant change. Obviously, numbers are going to climb as the end of the year approaches. So with that, we're also like to give you the BC Connect complaints that we received and closed out this year in comparison to last year from what I'm seeing with the numbers. There's just a slight increase in the complaints that we received and closed out, and that's a little over 3%. So with those complaints, total to date, as of this year, under my litter and illegal dumping complaints, it's a total of 104, minus the duplicate complaints from different people associated with the same issue. So it's 104 comparison to 101 last year. That's a slight increase of just 3%, just under 3%. So that's what I have so far. Also, in addition to adding more tools to combat our litter or control our litter out in the county, we're onboarding 2 additional members onto our litter crew. I believe they start Monday through orientation. In addition to that, we are in current discussions. We have a meeting coming this Monday with the detention center, in addition to the court, with the community services. So we'll be working in conjunction with them to have our community service members, should I say, I don't want to call them inmates, because that's not what they are. Our members that are mandated through the court system to provide some type of community service. So we're bringing back the program in hopes to, assist us with cleaning the road. So the more tools we have out there, I think it's a perfect opportunity for us to combat the litter out there and keep Beaufort County looking beautiful, That's all I have. Any questions?
Yeah, I want to say something. Actually, I've noticed in the past month on the Adopt a Highway that you've done a fantastic job with the communication. It's definitely been an increase and for the better. So I appreciate it being one of the people.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. And then, going back a year, we had enforcement too. Are you still part of, do you still have an enforcement arm? Are you allowed to issue tickets?
So I haven't gotten to that aspect yet. That will be, that's in the works right now. Sorry about that.
We're not law enforcement.
Right.
And we've been pretty much, anything that we find, we can write an ordinance violation.
Yeah.
So we can do an ordinance violation, but then we have to turn that over to Sergeant Rick Amin, and he will take it from there to enforce it. So if we find a spot that's an illegal dumping, regular spot, or he does, we'll set cameras up, and then, but yes, Jesus works directly with the sheriff's department.
With that,
and their environmental.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
He works hand in hand with them to kind of get that now.
Yes, sir. Been out there a few times already.
Probably not the top priority.
Yeah,
There's a lot of other things going
That's
on.
not like a small percentage of it's kind of a small percentage of it, because even with the sheriff's department, Sergeant recommends it's very hard to bring those tickets to fruition.
Mhm.
It's just, you gotta have so much, the evidence. You literally have to have a picture of somebody doing it and prove that it's that person that actually set the garbage on the ground, or like, even if you dig through trash and find an envelope with a name on it,
Still doesn't
who can
count.
say who put it there, right?
Yeah, we've been, I mean, recently, past 2 weeks, I've worked with not only Matt, ECSO, was it Rick Bean's last name? Sorry about that. And we did install cameras out in Traders Way and Deer Run, which is one of the, I believe, one of the land trusts that the county owns, with appliances being thrown to the
Everybody
side.
know, yeah.
So we do have cameras out there as we speak. In addition to that, also been in communication with our passive parks
That's good.
rangers.
Those cameras, just, and this is being curious, so the cameras, are they easily set out? Like, if you like, you get a report from a place for, like, just consistently for a month and a half, can you easily go out and set up cameras and stuff? You got some sort of mobile?
Yeah, it's a-
Trail cam,
It's
perfect,
trail cam.
perfect.
It's a field camera, it's nothing connected to the cloud base or anything. We do have a SIM card, we'll set it up and hopefully, you know, at least conceal it to where, you know, they won't find it. And then from that point, I'll go out there maybe a week later, see what the information I gather from there and go from there.
Well, eventually we'd like to have some of the cell-ready ones, but we're gonna, that's gotta go through IT, and that'll have to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that's, we'd like to have the cell-ready, because then it automatically gives you a signal, it
Right.
tells you when
Arlos.
that's triggered and who's doing it. So at that point, you know, we maybe can respond a little quicker if need be, if it's a, you know, habitual.
Right, right, catch them in the act.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, though. You know?
Thank you. And like Mike said, he's been in this position a month
Mhm.
and has already just hit the ground running, so we're really
Yeah,
happy to
I've seen
see
a
it.
huge, huge,
Very good job.
Yes.
thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Alrighty, Valentina, our environmental educator, is next on our agenda.
Hello, everybody. Again, I'm Valentina Palacio. I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator at Public Works. I work with both solid waste and recycling and stormwater with outreach efforts and whatnot. So this month, I've been doing I started in June, so getting to almost 6 months, but I've been doing outreach ever since I started, going to community events, having tables, and then this month, I have done a few various outreach events. Some consisted of after school, little kids essentially, and giving them recycling presentations. And then I also went to Battery Creek High School Career Expo, get exposure there, explaining what I do, why I do it. And then just recently, we had a great collaboration with IT Recycling with Mike. We had an educational MRF facility tour. We had really excellent feedback. Great day. It was really fun. Looking to make this something more, make it reoccurring, whether that be twice a year or quarterly. Really looking into potentially doing that because there was such excellent feedback and enthusiasm from the community, being able to get the inside look and the behind the scenes. So that was great. I also have been working with the Green Steps program, which is essentially this program that South Carolina has where schools can get certified for Green Steps schools, which it's essentially like having excellence in sustainability. So gardening or recycling at the school, doing litter cleanups at the school. So I've been doing mentoring with Bluffton Middle School and then as well as Low Country Montessori. So getting involved with the kids that way, which has been great. And also as a team with Chloe and I and everybody, but we have been working on continuing development of educational materials. So whether that be presentations or like pamphlets and whatnot to distribute to the community to have those kind of reference guides and as many tools as we can to facilitate better sustainable practices throughout the community. And as Victoria sort of mentioned, me and Chloe are working on applying for the Palmetto Pride Litter Prevention Grant. That's due in December, and we get word back if we get it in January. So that will be including some of the signs that Jesus mentioned for the Adopt a Highway groups for safety precautions, and a few other things that help with litter prevention. And yeah, that's a snapshot of what I've been working on, but yeah, that's
Are
it.
you getting any pushback from usually the principals are the hierarchy in each individual school. In the past, sometimes, I know stormwater education people in El Camino got pushback from certain principals of schools that they didn't feel it was appropriate, or